As you lay your weary head to rest, you might go unconscious, but your brain doesn't stop working. And sometimes that can be great. Dreams can be phenomenal, but sometimes the old brain decides that it's time to trap you in a horror film. Except unlike horror films, it's almost never predictable, even though oddly enough, it's your brain that's making it up as you go. So what exactly are nightmares? Where are they coming from? Why are they happening?
Hi folks, it's Balkan, and today, Waste Time asks the question, why do people have nightmares?
Nightmares. You may not always remember them, and that may not always be the worst thing in the world, but it's something that happens. When you hit the sack, your body's generally saying, alright, enough. There's several different theories as to why we need sleep that range everywhere from memory consolidation, as in all the things that happen through the day kind of get organized, or if you want to translate it over to computer terms, defragmented, to believing that evolution necessitates sleep, in that our ancestors needed to stay still the whole night while it was dark and predators were out to not get eaten, to the idea that sleep is simply an action that our body has to take in order to restore its energy. Whatever the reason you think we sleep brings us to a more interesting question: why do we dream? A lot of people think that good dreams are in fact wish fulfillment. Another theory regards dreaming as kind of exercise for the brain that it does while it's in rest mode to keep itself in top shape. Remember, the brain is a muscle, and well, you've got to exercise all your muscles. Except for I will say I almost never exercise while I'm asleep. Actually, scratch that, never. I literally always sleep while I'm asleep. It's pretty much never exercise. Finally, there's a pretty large amount of people that think that dreams are a means for the brain to solve problems that our more rational and pragmatic conscious mind actually can interfere with. The subconscious thinks entirely in the abstract. It's not burdened by language, it's not burdened by logic, and being it actually operates in an entirely abstract manner, basically anything is possible. And depending on the problem, if indeed your brain is solving things through abstract means, it's likely that people would probably actually come up with a lot of solutions to problems while they're asleep, only to realize it sometime during the day when they're awake that they have the thing to do for that problem. But if that's what dreaming is, then what the hell is a nightmare? Well, you know how people say you only use 10% of your brain. I don't know whether or not that exactly is true, but while you're asleep, 100% of your brain is active. I don't know whether you would define that using your brain, but on some level, your entire brain's doing something while you're asleep. Now, don't take that as your entire brain is working at capacity the whole night. I wouldn't expect that the cooling fan for your CPU is going to blast off at any point. So the things that are the most active are the cortex and the amygdala. Now, the cortex is the thing that interprets all of the signals that your brain is flinging around all willy-nilly and makes them into an image. Well, not necessarily as an image, but what we know as an image. There's no optics involved while you're asleep, of course. The amygdala, on the other hand, is not only active, is actually the part of the brain that is most active when you're afraid of something. So you've got the part of the brain that is interpreting signals to create the visuals that you see, and the part of your brain that gets all unstable when you get scared. Those two things are working in unison every time you sleep. But knowing that, why is it that you don't immediately have a nightmare every time you go to sleep? Well, a lot of people think that it's actually daily experience that influences your brain whether or not it's going to go into nightmare mode. Outside factors can cause stress, depression, or various other negative feelings, and it's believed that these types of things can influence the amygdala to co-opt your sleep with scary shit. And regarding this, the least active part of your brain is the frontal lobe, which is what's responsible for critical thinking. One could make the argument that because you're just not thinking critically, your brain goes, let's just continue the stress all the way through the night. Sounds great. By the way, I have no questions about why we're doing this. And then there's always the possibility that nightmares are just random. There may not actually be a reason for it other than our brain is a really complex biological machine that doesn't necessarily adhere to a set of rules, especially when we're talking about what exists within the abstract confines of the subconscious. In all seriousness, nightmares and dreams themselves could even simply be the byproduct of many years of evolution creating said complex biological machine without any real oversight. Now, there are some that would make the argument that there is oversight, but I'm not here to assume that religion is real or false. This is a video about nightmares, and all I'm really saying is that there's a possibility that there's absolutely no reason that we have nightmares, at least any direct reason. What if they're just the product of a lot of different processes that the brain does, kind of the exhaust of a brain performing its nightly operations in all sections of itself? There's actually quite a few differing opinions on exactly what it is that causes nightmares, because there's a lot of different opinions as to what exactly the brain is doing at all times. You're pretty much going to be able to find science that supports just about everything presented in this video, and a lot of people arguing about it one way or the other. And it's important to say that research on this subject is ongoing. It will probably be years and years and years, if ever, before we fully researched and entirely understand the human mind. Yes, we know the physical makeup of it at the moment, but the inner workings are so varied, and you could even say that the human mind is the biggest obstacle in researching the human mind. Obviously, everyone doing it, at least on Earth, that we're aware of, is a human. So there's ego, there's stubbornness, and there's such a thing as simply being wrong. My personal opinion after digesting all of this information is that it has to do with problem solving in some way. It just seems to me that the abstract world that dreams take place in allows us to quote-unquote think outside the box. And it seems to me, as we've evolved as a species, that's become an ever more necessary mode of thought. And being that the modern human is actually a fairly recent development, at least in terms of the length of time the planet has been around, or even how long life itself has been around, it's fair to assume that we developed these type of mechanisms fairly quick. Not like over a few years, but over some centuries, maybe some millennia. I just think our brains are probably trying to figure out ways to figure things out. And that might sound weird, but if you think about it, if you know how to solve a problem, is it really that big of a problem? Nightmares are bizarre, insurmountably large problems that are unlikely to happen in real life. So if your brain figures those out, why wouldn't it be able to figure out smaller problems? But that's what I think. What do you think? Meet me down in the comment section. We'll have a discussion on what exactly it is that you believe causes nightmares. While you're at it, if you enjoyed this video, please do us a huge favor and click the like button. And if you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload new videos all the time, and the best way to see them first is a subscription. As always, we thank you so much for watching this video.
I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on Waste Time.